end of the Route 1.
Call this meeting of the Arundel Planning Board to order. Today is April 25th, 2019. We're in the ML Day Library, and it is 7 p.m.
And we got a lot of lights on. You can see tonight.
I know, I thought that might be an interesting effect.
I thought so too.
Okay, we have,
Who did we meet that was
let's start with a roll call.
Marty Gaines.
Roger Moore.
Tom again.
Rich Ganong.
Somebody was at our house.
On the agenda tonight, we have approval of the agenda. We have public comments. We have approval of the minutes of April 11th. With pending applications.
We're doing a new
Item 1,
page.
Trotter paving. We have 3 new applications, Arundel Farm Stand, a site plan pre-app, Oak Ridge Terrace, a major subdivision pre-application, B&B Trucking, a plenary site plan review, and we will have other business planners' reports and a report on the public hearings, and then we'll walk home.
Early.
We have a motion.
Early.
Motion to approve the agenda, right, Rick?
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any adjustments? Anything?
Early.
As early as we can, Marty.
Okay, I just,
Okay, hearing no substantive changes to the agenda, all those in favor?
yay.
It is unanimous. Okay, approval of the minutes. I believe that is the way you were trying to tell me that we had it mixed up the last time?
Yeah.
It's approval of the minutes
Yeah.
first and then the public comment.
Yes.
Okay, so the approval of the minutes for April 11th, 2019.
I'll move we approve as written.
I'll second.
Changes.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve as written. Any discussion?
Oh,
Hearing none, all those in favor?
yay.
It is unanimous. Public comment. This is the time of the meeting, if you have a comment to make about something that is not on the agenda, you can do so. Would anybody like to address the board? Then we will proceed on to the pending applications. The first application is Trotter Paving, a major conditional use determination of completeness on a proposal to construct a contractor yard 2 for a commercial paving company on 10.06 acre parcel of land, tax map 5 lot 3, located at 44 Tunney's Way in the R4 district. Anthony and Caitlin Trotter are the owners and applicants. Mr. Trotter.
I think it was determined at the last planning board meeting that I needed to have a noise survey done, as well as information on a fuel tank containment system.
Mhm.
So I provided those.
I don't see the noise ordinance. I see a note on the map that one exists, but we don't have it.
Say that again?
There's a note on the map that indicates that there has been a noise study that
Yes.
is done and exists, but the board has not been given a copy of that study.
Is it considered on the
No,
plan?
no, sir, it is not. We need a copy of the study itself.
Okay.
We
Does
had,
it consist of-
we had issues with some other contractor yards, and are in court battling over the issue related to having a noise study done, so we're gonna have to require you to provide us with that piece of
So
information.
what would that exactly consist of?
Who did the study?
Scott McDonald.
Have Mr. McDonald give us a report that details the information.
So the actual decibel readings, that are marked on this plan are not considered.
They are not, because there's no verification as to where the numbers came from.
Okay.
We would,
Even though this was stamped by him and put together by him, I guess I'll take blame for that, I should have gone an extra step about that, but I figured this was considered complete.
To the chair,
yeah, Marty,
it may be done and everything else, but no show and tell.
That's it.
Okay,
right, yeah,
simple show and
that's the
tell.
problem. Because it's here, so it must have been done, but we don't have any proof to put into the record that would verify that.
And to the chair,
Yes, Marty?
did notice on the map and everything else, there's no signature block.
That's true.
Minor, but effective.
Well, we'll have to, we'll be getting a Mylar on this anyway, will we not?
I'm just
Okay.
throwing out for notice.
Anthony has got called.
Oh,
So,
Do you guys have any questions for Mr. Trotter?
well, you know, we need that, the noise data, but, we should look at some of the others just to give an idea,
Mhm.
rather than have them come back each time.
Oh, I agree.
Looking at some of the waivers, we go through that, and I think most of the waivers, I think, are pretty reasonable. Topographical survey. I think, I'd be all right with waiving that. Do we have to do motions to waive each, or just all?
You can do it as a group. I thought you did it before.
I didn't know.
Are they any the same or new ones?
No, these look like they're the same request, and
Oh, maybe I did, might have been.
What's the date of that? I think I gave you both a set of notes. If it's the old one.
It says at the time.
Right. But I think I gave you also notes from, September.
Oh,
What's the date of that, Tom? Which I put in? Date at the top.
Well, we had a meeting on
April
September
22nd.
twenty-third.
Okay.
today.
All right.
Yeah.
But I think you waived them the last time.
Did we?
That-
I
and
might
that
have
would
missed
have
that
been
meeting, okay.
back in
All right, so
September.
we're all set, good. I forgot that.
Because we did that in the wake of the site walk.
Yep.
And determined you didn't need to do topo. And the issue was going to be containment, and the other issue was the issue of noise because of what was happening at Pegwell.
Yeah.
we have the formal application.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's in Pegwell.
So what was it? Did you say the two, noise and setback?
No, the containment.
Containment, okay. Yeah, containment. Okay.
The issue with setback, just so we can discuss it, is the concern was that, we, and Scott should do this, is determination, first of all, what the meter was, when it was calibrated, what his qualifications are to do that. He had atmospheric data, he had background. But you also have to do the opposite side, on the north side, northeast, northwest side.
Yep.
Where the parking is, because the issue is they're gonna be hooking up there, and you're gonna be within that same range of that, and actually less range of.
I mean, what do you mean hooking up?
Well, you have trailers there, right?
Right.
That's what trailers are, well, you're gonna pull them in a truck, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So, but that would have to be another location that you do it. because-
Even though the workyard is, however, maybe an acre, I don't technically need to be right on that property line.
It was just where you had put the trailers, where you
Right.
had indicated where the trailers were going to go.
Gotcha.
And the issue with the noise is that it's the operation of the machinery.
Yep.
You got two dump trucks, you get a 50, you're at 60 dB he's reading 60 dB as a max. When you rev, you're probably gonna go over 60. And the issue is you can't do that for more than 15 minutes in a 24-hour period.
Well, you could.
So that's gonna be the issue that everyone wants to make sure. If those trailers are up against the property line, obviously that puts you in jeopory
Right.
of
Which we could move, I guess.
Exactly, which you could
those
move
on the plan.
if the study would show that you need to move closer in to the
Gotcha.
building. Okay?
Where would the trucks be parked? I don't see it on,
Yep, they're right after your.
They're right where the overhang is.
oh, okay, those, okay,
That's where the truck.
dump truck.
I think when he updated this plan, he left trailer, truck, trailer, back, but those could be, I think he honestly just, didn't didn't, pay, enough attention to that and probably forgot to move those.
Certainly if they were moved close to the building away from the property
Yeah.
lines, that would put you out of that range of going more
Right.
than 60 feet.
Yeah,
I wonder if you switch the proposed parking for employees with the trailer, that would get you
Right.
further away.
Yep. Yeah, definitely would.
Tad, you mentioned that, with the application, the waivers were requested.
They were requested back in, what, September?
September.
Yeah.
Last time we were
I
there.
see them as being did not apply.
I think we gave it to them back in September. I think we granted the waiver.
Staff notes suggest that they would probably be granted, right?
If you wanna do it again, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, we can.
Just to be clear about it?
Yeah, if you
Okay.
want.
Because I'm looking at the formal
They include
application, it
minutes.
says did not apply. Not a case of asking for a waiver.
Well, the board would make a decision that if the applicant said does not apply, you would either agree with that or not.
Okay.
But I thought we agreed with that at the sidewalk. That was a problem.
Then we have the containment issue.
Yes, we have a containment facility that we
Do
provided.
you have any ideas of what to do about that?
Yeah, it was pretty much a half of a septic tank. I only have a 500-gallon fuel tank,
Yeah.
so setting it in, half of a septic tank, 500 gallons worth would, I think, suffice, right?
Good.
Yeah. Something that we have no authority to override or to waive, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine, if it needs to be
Yeah.
set, that's not a problem.
Okay. Yeah, that would work. Besides that, so it comes down to, if that's gonna be done, comes down to the
It's
noise
the noise
issue.
issue more than anything.
Everything else looks good. I mean, we've been a good, quiet business back there as it is. It just, fortunately, the timing probably didn't
I
help you.
totally understand.
Yeah, we have to look at these things.
If that, report is generated, do we need to go through another, planning board meeting, or can that just be submitted?
No, you would have to come back. We can't determine if we determine the application complete, we would vote on it, in all probability, it would be voted down.
Yeah.
So you don't want us to determine.
Yeah, no, that's
it.
fine. I should have, like I said, I should have probably gone one extra step to make sure that was, provided, but
If you
I
could
will
get,
definitely get it.
if you can get that for us.
Yep.
Sooner rather than later, we can
Yeah.
get you on the agenda for May 23rd,
Yeah, I don't see that being a problem.
okay?
Perfect. Is there anything else that I should have prepared to consider this complete?
Just a sign block.
Okay, good point, yeah. The approval block,
Okay.
approved by the planning board.
Okay.
So for your paper copy, so it's signed, and then with the Mylar too. So, but, I mean, so you have a copy, we have a copy, and vice versa.
Sure.
It's just proof that it's not lost in the process.
Again, Anthony, I think, to switch the parking, every foot away you are away, you need to meet that, need, yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. The next item, Arundel Farm Stand Site Plan Pre-Application. Proposal to construct a 1,020 square foot farm retail building serviced by a 480 foot long commercial driveway, 480 foot long commercial driveway with 2 parking areas containing 20 parking spaces on a 2.02 acre parcel located on Portland Road, tax map 36, lot 13 in the DB1 district. Peter Faulkner, trustee, is the owner, and Ed and Sally LeBlanc are the applicants. And I believe that you have something from the Army Corps of Engineers that signifies that he has enough upland in order to be able to operate this without impacting the wetlands. I think that's the one piece of information that we didn't have.
It's, actually, it's a reclassification. The concern was that, Mr. Chairman, the concern was, it looked like from the aerials that there was more than 2 acres of contiguous have made this a shoreline overlay district, and we precluded the ability to build in that wetland. What the applicant did was using that Army Corps manual, and also our definition of what contiguous means, contiguous wetlands, with the exemption for the 100 by 100 square. The applicant determined, the applicant's wetlands scientist determined that there was less than 2 acres of 1.86 acres of contiguous wetland. And that's documented in your packet. And so consequently, since it's 1.86, it is not a shoreline district. It is not regulated by shoreline zoning, it's only regulated by DEP, or you have a permit for wetlands alteration permit.
We should have that by our next meeting.
Yeah, that's a PBR, right?
Nope,
That's
it's a full tier one.
Tier one, so you have full tier one.
I just sent them the last, they had 2 comments, I sent back the revisions today actually.
So if you look inside, I believe it's marked in case anybody wanted to know. You find it, right before the HHE 200s. So it's back, not in number of pages, but the SES, or, excuse me, NRCS soil information, it's right after that. It's basically an aerial that shows the contiguous wetland.
Okay, yeah.
So that, this is- it'll be an aerial with,
That's about 75% of the way through.
yeah. And that was really the hinge point in this whole thing. Because if this wetland was shoreline overlay, this project could not go forward. But this is why we have that contiguous definition in there to, not to penalize those kinds of wetlands that can create 2 acres by 10 joules, make it a large mass, which is the intent of the ordinance.
Here's the-
So we're all set on that then. In the, you done perk test or no?
Yeah, you have an HHE 200, so there's a full septic design, like,
Okay,
so passing that.
well, you make that work, that's great. That was really the big issue.
The principal issue.
Other than that, I think it's the perfect use for that site.
It's really the only use for that site,
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Aside from wetlands banking and filling it and putting
but
it.
they don't do that.
I know, thank you, Westbrook, Westbrook. Just a, the only thing that staff finds, is in reviewing the ordinance for the DD1, this is a design district, so we do need to review the elevation of the building, which I believe the applicant's engineer will be providing, and we also need that front landscaping that's required in the DD1.
As far as that goes, I saw a couple of photographs, with of, must be one of the, another building.
Yeah.
Would it be similar, like identical to that, or?
Basically, same design, post and beam, open front,
Yeah,
farm stand, basically a post and beam barn.
could something like that, suffice, or do we have to have elevations, or could we can see
Well,
what?
if you could have a scale on that, if you could do a photograph and put a scale on it, that's not a problem.
Well, it's really, I could take that building and then scale it, draw the elevations in CAD, and it's. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it'd
yeah.
probably take an hour to do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, don't give away all my secrets here.
Right.
Maybe 2, you know?
Yeah.
I meant
At least
a
3.
couple of
Right.
days.
Thanks.
Aside from that, everything else checks out, and I would say that receiving that, this application would be complete, so if you wanted to make it contingent upon that, it's going to be complete, so just schedule a public hearing.
Yeah, you'll definitely have that next week.
Through the chair, the idea of landscaping and everything else, where the actually the property line is, where to the actuality to the road. As we did in like the same idea of, VIP at the time. There was nothing along Route 1.
Yeah, but we have different ordinance than when you did that.
What I'm just saying is, where requested landscaping, and two, it's not, and the setback to where the property line is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's about 35 feet.
It's a large right of way that's shown on the plan.
So what are we trying to landscape?
Because it's required in the ordinance.
I'm just saying, what are we trying to landscape?
Try to abide by the ordinance, as the ordinance says that's what you have to have, it's buffer strip.
Let's get that information together. Do you wanna deem the application complete pending receipt of that information so that we can proceed to a public hearing?
Yes. I'll move so,
Okay.
because the fact is, sooner they can get the public hearing, they can get going sooner, so they will be open sooner.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to deem the application complete pending receipt of, I know what I'm trying to say.
Scale.
Thank you. Pending receipt of
Elevation.
scale and elevation and landscaping. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous. We will deem the application complete
When in public
pending that
hearing.
information. The next question is the public hearing.
2 weeks.
Which is May 9th, which is when we have all of the public hearings.
Make it, add to it, more the merrier.
I can't add to it, because it's already been published for those public hearings,
Well,
so we'll just have to do another.
Another publication?
Yep.
Or,
Yeah, I have to do separate publication, because the other one's already in the hopper, it's gonna be published tomorrow. Meet the requirements.
Okay.
That's a 14-day, well, that's a 13 and 7 day, this is only 7 day
Right.
notification, so.
We need a motion for
Yeah.
May 9th.
and that applicant's, materials can be in well by then, basically.
Okay.
yay.
Second?
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to have a public hearing on May 9th, assuming that all of the paperwork is in on time.
Oh, you could still have the public hearing and just not act on it.
Yes. Oh, we could do that too. 'Cause we will have 30 days at that point.
Yes.
Okay? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Guys.
Aye. It is unanimous.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Great. Good luck. All right. No. Thank you again.
Unless you wanna do it for me.
No.
Item number 3.
Take care, folks.
Which I'm assuming everybody is here for.
Yeah.
Item number 2, that was. Oak Ridge Terrace, a major subdivision pre-application, a proposal to develop a 14-lot subdivision on 66.9 acre parcel identified as tax map 17, lot 15A, at the intersection of South Skillings Road and Limerick Road in the R2 and shoreland zones. Walter Wood is the property owner, and Jason Buffettes is the applicant of record. Please tell me about that, Mike.
Not someday.
I still
You're getting
do.
closer.
Buffettes?
Off the,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll try to remember that the next time through. Take it away, Jason.
Well, thanks for sticking out here tonight. I know Marty wants to get out, so I'll go quick. The application you have before you, I'm here on behalf of Oak Ridge Terrace LLC, is for the 14-lot subdivision. You'll recall at the sketch plan meeting, we had a road that entered from Skillings Road, or South Skillings Road, came in and crossed a significant wetland crossing, and then a stream crossing, and another, actually, I have a plan for it right here. And another, there was one other wetland impact, and we had the site walk, and at the site walk, you'll recall, we had have met with all the abutters who are here. And Walter Woods, who is Oak Ridge Terrace LLC, has worked a deal out, I believe, I haven't seen the final recorded paperwork, but it's trending that way, to bring Laura Lane completely up to town standards, and that includes going all the way to the cul-de-sac. It's got a good gravel base under there, I've done some investigations, we're just gonna scoop out the ditches, scrape off the crap that gets on there from sanding and stuff, come in, add the 6 inches of type A and bring the pavement section in. So that'll be a nice improvement to Laura Lane, and then because of that, our impacts, environmental impacts have really gone down. We're only building about 750 feet of new road, not affecting wetlands hardly at all. I believe we have one small, so we're under the exemption, so we'll probably no wetland permits, no permit by rules, no DEP permitting at all. And really, I think a better use of the land and a better product. You have before you, I think, all the attachments for a preliminary subdivision, where I think we're hoping to cram your public meeting schedules, but having completeness and go for the public, do you have any questions?
Do you have any questions for the applicant?
First of all, it's a great solution, great working together. I mean, that's so helpful that the abutters are part of the solution, so it's great that this is happening. But it was a little, kind of comment from the fire chief who said that, I don't know what the limit is, but this is exceeding how many units, how many properties would be on the same input road. So I don't know if you had talked to the fire chief at all?
Nope, that was on my list for, next meeting, so, yeah, I'll get, I must have missed that in the road standards.
I'm not sure what can be done about that. So that's something that you have to work with him. The other was the cluster development. So most of them were clustered, but there were a couple that weren't in that.
12 and 13.
Yeah, which one, 12 and 14?
1 and 2.
Yeah, I believe, 12, no, it's 12 and 13 on the surveyor plans. I might have numbered differently on my plans, so have to coordinate that. Yeah, so the cluster standard, and Tad will correct me if I'm reading this wrong. You basically devote open space in accordance with, you have to have as much open space as you would for every lot you reduce beyond the minimum lot size,
So this is in the R2,
In the R2, so it's a 2-acre minimum.
so you need 28 acres of buildable land.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, you have a net residential calculation, I
Yeah.
believe, done on one of the plans there. We exceed the open space, requirements. The lots typically are about 52 to 56,000 square feet. I believe the open space parcel is,
51.25 acres, net residential area.
yes, yeah. So right, so it has 25 available lots, in order to keep this out of sight law, and then also I have to deal with the fire chief. We'll have to work on some added safety, fire protection, probably some cisterns coming in.
Might be some cisterns, might be one cistern, and some maybe sprinkle.
Yeah.
Something like that. I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
The back piece, the back parcel,
Yeah.
where you have a road going in that will be crossing the wetlands at the neck of the isthmus there. That's a
Potentially, if we-
future development.
yeah.
Okay. I guess my concern is, and this is probably gonna piggyback on fire chief and also the planning board, is that, once we get to 250 on a dead end road, to 250 trips per day,
Yeah.
we have to have a second means of egress. And so I was wondering what your plan or what your program was for that, because I think you're gonna be very close, depending on you developed there? Because Laurel Lane is one of those dead ends.
Yes, right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so really, 7 and there's 11 in there now, so 18, so it'd be potentially seven more lots, so. Or, I don't know what your ordinance says, but in Kennebunk, we cheated by going to 55 and older, which reduces the number of daily trips for the IT.
So you wanna make it a 55 and older community?
Well, we could do second phases, I'll have to talk it over with my client, but.
That'd be right, that does change.
Which
So
It's
Kennebunk
not-
people, you know,
Hey,
as a, just as a general comment about that, it's funny that you get a reduced trips on the 55 and over when everyone knows that typically they require
I'm staying
more
home.
emergency.
well, not only more emergency, we go out and do stuff more than rest of
It's
the
just not peak hour, but.
Exactly.
I thought I saw someplace in here, it said trip generation was expected to be 140
Which 14 lots, yeah.
with the foot, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
10 per lot.
But two
Two of them are off.
of those are accessed off of non-dead end roads.
Okay.
So there's, looks like there's the right of way that's just north of, west of, lot 9. That right of way is going to the back lot?
If the applicant feels that the market's there to do more lots in the future,
Okay.
yeah, that would be, a road would be constructed, that land has been left out of any of the lots that will be deeded.
So how does that land, how does that, factor in with, the open space formula?
So we actually have enough open space now, if we design, I prefigured it, there is ostensibly a layout out there that the open space is enough for 25 lots over the whole parcel.
Where I don't want you to get caught in the bind is if it's designated as open space now,
So I think the problem is there should be a line
yeah, I don't see
here.
that.
This land is left remaining
Okay,
as
good.
developable, yeah,
Yeah, that,
that line's missing, yeah.
that
I
was
just noticed that as I was looking at it, yeah.
Good. Yeah, cause once we grant it, then
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah,
deeded
yeah.
open space, it's not yours.
Can you give us an inventory of that?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So the inventory of the open space?
Of the open space versus the amount of reduced space?
Yes, yeah, yeah, I will give you a
Because I started
table.
doing that, I said, what am I doing?
No, I actually have a table, I just saw it on the plan.
Now, one other question to ask you, were the rollers actually coming out when we were doing our site walk?
I brought your plan.
Okay.
Marty, can you see this? I can bring it up. This is where the road is,
Yeah,
and you were concerned about the headlights?
yes.
Big clump of trees, and I believe that Walter is working with, also buffering some of these lots as well to, as part of the road improvement plan, to make people, Yep, so we're coming out right here, and then there's a driveway about 60 feet down the road this way,
Yes,
and then the other driveway is up off the cul-de-sac, so. And then there'll be augmented buffering, I believe in here, and then anywhere else it's thin.
no, that's where I was,
Yep.
I was
I
looking at the
remember your
plan,
comment
that,
on
I mean,
sidewalks,
and I was just thinking of deer in the headlight look.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I mean, and even you have deciduous at time, and then you have, summer and fall area where everything is blocked, but you still have.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
why I
that
was,
would be arborvitae's and, you know.
well, whatever, I mean, you know, I'm just saying it, so, I mean, I was just thinking of the homeowners.
Yeah.
Now, did the other homeowners see that?
Nope, this plan, I just prepared this plan, for Walter, he just
Yeah.
had me do it up, and so these are available, and yeah, we'll have, I'm sure there's a meeting with them, yeah.
We had a meeting at our house and
Yeah.
everybody was there.
Yeah.
And he would explain it.
I personally have not seen it. I would love a copy if you could, Jason.
Yeah, I can email it to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
is
and
there
then
any
along
way you
with
can
this-
stand over there with the graphics, cause,
The back,
we
page,
can't
yeah,
see.
we can't see, yeah, especially with this.
or any graphic?
It's all publicly available
now, too,
so
I'll put them up over here.
And that's all pertaining to if he goes off Laura Lane, correct?
Yes.
if he doesn't go off Laura Lane, we're gonna have to start the process, we're gonna have to do a new site.
First
walk.
of all, they're gorgeous.
He's gonna have to, he'll have a bunch of changes here.
I never delete anything, but yes.
Can I make one comment? I made it last planning board meeting, but it was a little premature, I guess, about the usable open space definition that is in the subdivision standards. There's one, it's like I believe it's the only criteria, it's only standard in regards to the definition of open spaces, the land cannot be wet or poorly drained. I can quote it.
For the net density requirement, the land has to be buildable. So
So,
in order to
okay.
put in 14 houses, he has to have 28 acres of land that could have a house put on it.
okay, so I guess a large portion of the open space currently depicted is forested wetland.
Okay.
So I guess I don't understand how that meets the criteria for buildability. And I believe, yeah, so I guess the buildable, and there is a definition. So what is the purpose of the usable open space definition?
So I remember his comment from last time, and I researched that. I didn't see anything in the definition of open space that said that it couldn't be wetlands. And typically, you have open space to preserve wetlands and keep them out of people's lots, so you don't have encroachment and development creep that's
I can,
sort of on,
1 second.
but I'll defer to the planner that might know better than I do.
Planner's got a subdivision standards on his desk right now. He put it in the packet there, so I'd have to get back to you.
Can I,
Yeah, that sounds sensible though,
What, open space?
yeah,
Yeah,
that it
open
would
space.
could consist of wetlands.
if you guys give me just 2 seconds. What section on the website would that be? The,
Just the definitions.
yeah, so there's a link for subdivision standards.
I don't have the definition.
No, I mean the subdivision regs.
In the subdivision regs, it's not in,
Some,
there's no definition.
Usable open space, and there's a definition after, at least on the website, I don't know. if
Okay, I was
it's
looking for just
Yeah,
open space.
yeah, usable open space, and then there's a specific definition after.
So I think usable open space is something else that might pertain to it. I don't think that's part of it.
That's, yeah, and I guess that was another question I had. I searched that entire document, just, you can search on your computer for open space. That was the only definition of open space I could see. So I would assume that if that's the only definition, then that would pertain to, I guess, that was my assumption. Do any of you guys on your phone, I screenshotted you guys a copy of that.
You did, I have it.
Yeah.
Same definitions.
Hmm.
We have a definition.
Usable.
Yeah, hold on a
That
second.
portion of the town
You
open
screenshotted
space.
it.
Yeah, I did.
Which is due with slope
Yeah.
drainage, characteristics and slope, and is can be used for active recreation, horticultural, or agriculture. In order to be considered usable open space, land must not be poorly drained.
There.
Poorly drained, have ledge out wetlands or areas with slopes exceeding 10%. So the issue is, in terms of net residential density, or actually, this is what we're going to do, this. No, that's yours.
Okay, hold on, I think I'm getting it.
Okay, so,
Corner, net density calculation, preservation of natural resources.
Well, I see the definition stating that in order to be considered usable open space, the land must not be poorly drained or very poorly drained.
Yes, exactly. And to me, that would make logical sense if it's gonna be buildable. So I would assume that was the planning board's intent to include that, but maybe that's an assumption, like, no one would wanna build in a wetland, whether it be forested or not.
Yeah, it wouldn't be built on.
Right, exactly, so And then, just in regards to this, and if I can just show you guys on the map. So, I'm totally blocking the camera, that's okay. This is my property, this is one lot, two lots. You'll see that there's a devotion to open space here, but you can see the vast majority is forested wetland. And they went, even when the design is even to the such that they pretty meticulously carved out lots directly around the forested wetland piece. So I think that's, in my opinion, that's a dangerous precedent for the planning board to set, that definition is, that it can't be drained, or the drains are wet.
Well, that's usable open space, I'm not seeing its reference anywhere else.
And I couldn't find another definition of open space.
It's right in the definitions in the front of the land use ordinances.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
the usable open space, I think, was a reference to, if you had like a campground, maybe like an older harken back that had a campground where you had to have recreational area or something associated with it. I've seen that before in other municipalities, but,
And that's certainly something the planning board has required from larger developments, is to require them to have a recreational facility of usable open space.
so what it was that you couldn't put the recreation into the wetlands.
Right.
Like if you had to do a ball field or, now community gardens and things like that. Just the open space definition that's in the standard definitions of your entire ordinance, only references to open space, and the cluster subdivision references open space, not usable open space.
I guess I have significant concerns if the planning board allows a developer to buy a tract of land, carve out lots all around forested wetlands, and then hand off the forested wetlands as usable open space. That seems like outside of the conservation mission of a cluster development.
Well, Jason, not all of your open space is wetland.
No, no.
I think that we need to see what that total number is of wetland in the open space and non-wetland in the open space. But I will tell you honestly, part of the things that, one of the reasons why we have open space preservation is in fact to preserve important natural
Sure.
resources. One being prime farmlands, one being steep slopes, and the other one being wetlands.
Sure.
Wetlands and water
I
bodies.
think that's fair, but
So that is considered to be a natural resource worthy of preservation,
Sure.
not in the intent of the planning board.
I think if you go back and look at all your cluster subdivisions in the past, you'll find that
Yeah.
predominance is to preserve the wetlands and surrounding area and
But,
build where it's.
I
But
guess-
also what you're also referring to is the situation where when you're in the rural district, which is the R4 district, or what will be the RC district, 50% of the land must be preserved, regardless. And that's where they get really serious about, we're in the
Sure.
residential
Sure.
district here with the R2, which is a suburban residential district, where the open space preservation is required, because we're requiring clustering, but at the same time, is not as strict as it is in the R4 district.
sure, but regardless of how strict it is, I think it should still meet the definition of usable open space,
Now,
no?
if you can find for me in here where I'm required you to have usable, no, wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
Usable open space as meeting the open space requirement here, then I will agree with you.
Well, so-
I haven't seen that.
And I guess then there needs to be a specific definition of what is open space.
There is.
Where is that definition in the subdivision standards? There's nothing about open space within that definition
The
list.
definition is usable open space, there is no definition of open space.
Exactly, and if you're gonna allow it to
But there is a definition of net residential acreage,
Right.
which means that you have, it is the total acreage available minus the area for the streets or access in areas which are unsuitable for development. So the wetlands are automatically out of that calculation.
I would agree with that.
In order for them to put up 14 units that are going to be clustered, and it's required to be clustered, he has to have 28 acres of land that he can build on. And that's not gonna be part of the open space, the usable open space, because that's a completely different definition. You could have open space and not be able to build on it, because it may not be large enough.
So so where's the definition of what is open space in terms of the net? So,
It's not in here.
exactly, so I think that either needs to be a standard, or it needs to default to the definition of a usable open space.
But even if it defaults to the definition of usable open space, there's nothing in the ordinance that defines how much open space there
But
has
it,
to
but
be.
it, but it,
The only thing that is defined is what the net density is.
but it does say that open space usable open space, which it defaults to, cannot be poorly drained or wet.
That's true.
So in terms of calculating the amount of open space that is needed for the cluster division, I think all that acreage should be taken out if it's poorly drained or drained.
Well, I have plenty of it, so, yeah, I can give you a calculation.
Well, so I guess so. I'm not really totally sold on that, because if you look here, there's an open space section. Probably 75% is forested wetland of this big tract, would you say?
Just remember, I only need
Well, so,
open space, let me finish.
okay,
Okay, I do this for a living.
Yep.
The only open space I need is 80,000 minus, for every lot that's less than 80,000 square feet, I need to preserve open space, the difference. You'll find that I far exceed that calculation,
Okay.
even if you use the other ones, but I'll,
that's fine, yeah, no, I would like for the record to see that.
Yeah.
And my other concern is, outside of this, I have two more concerns actually. Outside of this area that is largely forested wetland, if you look here, this is open space, yes?
Yep.
I mean, it is 50% forested wetlands? And you can't tell me that, between these forested wetland sections, it's buildable.
Can I make-
And we're not saying it's buildable. You could go hiking on that. It's
Can I-
usable open space.
oh, I could
Can I
permit
try and
it.
explain something I did? I understand what you're saying, and I almost went along with your logic, but the way to look at it is, let's say, how many acres are there total? You have this,
70,
Yeah, there's 72.
and you're gonna be building on like 50 or something that, so,
Less than that, yeah.
let's say,
40.
let's say there's 50 acres.
Mm-hmm.
With 2 acre minimum, he could have 25 lots in there. Regardless of wetlands, you could divide up and squeeze in those house lots wherever there's permeable soil, really. So what the cluster development allows or requires is, instead of spreading out, doing the sprawl thing, so that every little pocket of that land will be owned and developed and could have fences around it with no trespassing signs. You could have every lot would say that. What this does is bring them all together, so they can still have their fences up.
Right.
And no trespassing signs, but all the rest will be open to
Fair.
wildlife
Yes,
and anybody walking
Yeah.
through, hunting
Yeah.
or whatever. So it's a trade-off, but it really almost has nothing to do with how it's gonna be used, whether it's wet or not. It's just how many acres divided by 2 minimum. And you're able, as long as you can get a permeable lot, he could have,
Your envelope.
an envelope, yeah, as long as you have an envelope with the setbacks and around each one, it can have, the rest can be open space. It doesn't matter what the open space is used as, or what kind of condition it's in.
But it does matter if the definition of the only definition of open space that we have on record says that in order to meet that definition, it cannot be.
You have a point there, but
Okay.
I think that the difference is, this says, was it usable open space.
But that's the.
It's not designated as usable, it's just,
So,
it can be left wild.
okay, yeah, so, but I guess if there's no other definition of open space,
No.
then it should default to, in my opinion, the definition of usable open space.
The only problem is.
Otherwise, it's open to interpretation however you want, and that's. not a way to
Usable could
cover
be
it.
for frogs.
That
Okay.
issue.
That's
I
fine.
mean, no, I'm not trying to be smart,
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep, hang on, Marty.
I think the other thing that we have to take a look at in this is there is no requirement in the subdivision ordinance that you have to have cluster. Cluster division is required in the zoning ordinance, and there's a very long discussion about what is common open space in the cluster division, and that's what's actually driving this. This net residential density gives you the density, but the actual requirement to, one, cluster, and then how you cluster it is all in the zoning ordinance. And it's not called usable, it's called common open space. You'll find that in section 9 through 4,
That,
excuse
I
me.
think that's the definition.
Now you what?
That's, oops, I just, lost it. 9 through 12.
Is there a
Go
reason
to 9
that
through
might
12,
be
there's a
like
long
that?
discussion about open space. Dedication and maintenance of common open space. Find that on page 150. That's mine,
Just don't
one
think
so
it's like
so
that.
much.
Is there a definition?
So you got mine on 152.
Yep.
Hmm.
It just, it does say H says very poorly drained soils. No dwelling unit shall be constructed on soil classified as being very poorly drained. Just no dwelling can be there.
If you look at number 3, you see it talks about restrictions of common open space, use of common land, and common open space land should be jointly owned in common by the owners of dwelling units invested in the association. Governance for mandatory membership, the association set forth and owners' rights and interests shall be included. In the deed, use of common land, common lands restricted to recreation, conservation, or agricultural purposes, structurally accessory to non-commercial, recreational, conservation, or agricultural uses may be erected on the common land. Restrictions of common open space, the common open space shall be shown on the development plan, an appropriate notion on the face thereof to indicate that further subdivision of common land is prohibited, shall not be used for future residential building lots, then part or all of the open space may be dedicated by, for acceptance by the town for operation of municipal recreational facilities. Then it goes down to bylaws, maintenance fees, and responsibility for common land maintenance. So that's really what's driving the clustering is this definition is totally in the zoning ordinance rather than in the subdivision ordinance. I guess I would ask you the question, why are you not clustering 12 and 13? Since it's required they be clustered.
That's a good question. That's driven by, specific, uses and potential buyers of those lots, so I'll have to get back to them.
Clarify me, Tad, the zoning, in the zoning ordinance, it says the cluster division must be totally clustered?
Yes.
Okay.
And we've grappled with that and we're still grappling whether that's always appropriate. There's many times when it's not appropriate, when actually large lots are more appropriate.
I would argue that in this case, wouldn't it be appropriate since the majority of lots are already clustered? So I find it odd that,
Well, that's why I'm asking Jason to give me a justification.
Right,
on
okay,
12 or
okay.
13.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons is if you have access to South Stevens Road for 13, I think it is.
Well, right, if we get into a situation where we need a secondary means of egress for some reason, and it makes economic sense to do so,
Right.
I may need to leave a strip of land as previously presented for that purpose, and whether that's appropriate to be permitted.
Why, given that we're dealing with a piece of land that's 70 acres, seems to me that could be separately stricken off and used.
Well, that was the other issue is, are you compelled, R2, you're not compelled to cluster, right? Or you are, yeah.
Anytime you go over 4 lots.
And any lot over the standard lot size is considered non-clustered.
We are actually working on a provision to allow large lots as an alternative to clustering, especially 10-acre lots plus.
Right, have conservation lots instead of.
Conservation, that allow people to own large tracts of land. Because the only other thing you do is 40-acre lots, which are exempt, as you know. So we're really looking for the interim, because that's also can be an effective conservation tool, provided that it's designed.
Yeah, I'll take a second look.
We have what, we're gonna have 14, maybe 25 at most lots out there?
The most you'll ever get is 25 based on that.
So,
I thought that was 22, 14.
14 plus 7, that was, or, yeah, that was my understanding, it was 21 or
So
22.
you
Yeah, I
did-
thought it was
so
22.
you'd be bringing, this Laurel Lane up to town standards, paving, that the entire length, or?
Yep.
Or just up to
Yep,
your
whole
corner?
thing, we would leave, yeah,
Okay.
we'd go all the way through.
we're gonna need an assessment on
Yeah,
that.
no,
Because you're gonna wanna do that to town standards, I would assume. You
oh,
just-
yeah, I actually, I have a detail for that. Do you want me to coordinate with Public Works?
Yes, please.
Yeah, we're gonna do test borings to get at the gravel.
That's
That's what we do.
I have one more.
Check on fire chief, make sure.
Yeah, and the fire chief, yeah, well, I'll come see what
That's
that's.
the
Yeah,
important.
because you'll have, you need to make sure at the cul-de-sac, at the back end, you're gonna have enough room for him to be able to turn his trucks around.
Well, there also is water supply.
Yeah,
Please.
we need
And
a,
the water supply.
yeah.
And the buses,
I
right?
do have a question for you. Are these gonna be, these aren't gonna be individual septic systems? Okay. According to 9312J, all structures with plumbing in a clustered planned unit development shall be connected to a public sanitary sewer system if available, or to a central collection and treatment system in accordance with section 515. You need a centralized,
Well, is that something you waive because
I don't know.
there's compelling arguments that that is a bad thing,
There is,
a very bad thing?
one of the things that you do, and actually you're kind of required if you look in this, you're gonna need a hydrogeos study.
Actually, we have one,
Okay.
it came in today. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah,
The
with a well
planning board may
exclusion.
allow individual wastewater disposal systems based on the submission of a hydrogeos assessment of feasibility analysis, which indicates that individual systems will not adversely affect the groundwater quality.
We have a
That's what
report,
you're doing.
Okay.
it's supposed to be in there, but.
Reason for that, the dense,
Yeah.
being closer together could
Yeah,
impact.
yeah.
I
They all check
agree,
out.
there's a good reason not to have a corner, because people don't care about corners, they're throwing.
Well, there's compelling literature out there that says that the plumes last longer and go further, and it's more detrimental to the environment.
It's actually, it's a really great concept if you're on nice glaciated soils.
Right.
Here,
Yeah, out here,
Not so
you're
much.
gonna ride the clay and the ledge.
And you have already done some testing?
No, we have the whole thing, yes.
Okay. Are they in?
no,
No, it was supposed to be in there, but.
All right.
all right, so. the
I-
board any-
I have a question.
Well, before we get, if I could just, say yes, are you gonna take another look at those two lots that I'm trying to see if they can?
Yeah, I'll coordinate with Tad on,
Okay,
applying the ordinance properly.
okay, thanks, I'm sorry.
That's fine. Before when Laurel Lane was first developed, before there were any houses, on the corner of my lot, there was a culvert that went across and would be heading east, okay? And somehow the culvert got removed, and what happens is now is whenever we get any significant rainwater or anything like that, it kind of floods up onto my lawn. So I'm just, if they're gonna do the road over, I'd like to have that culvert put back in
Well, I
across
think-
Laurel Lane.
If they're gonna build it to town standards, they're gonna have to have that culvert.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, it's already in my
There's a
notes,
catch
but
basin, there's a catch basin right on the other side, it used to be connected, but
I
They moved
saw
the
that.
culvert
We already
way
added
down
that.
our road
Yeah.
on Laurel Lane.
somebody,
It was
okay.
already there, Roger just eliminated it and rerouted it.
Now, when you were talking about the cars coming in and out, and you were talking about hundreds, 250,000 trips, can you explain that to me?
140 trips. It is estimated that an individual family household will generate 10 trips
A day?
a day, 5 going out and 5 coming back. So mom and dad leave for work, and then the kids go off to school, and then they all come back home again.
Okay, so,
And that's assuming that you're not retired and coming in and out of your house all the time,
yeah,
like me.
I was gonna say, I'm good for like 15 trips to Home Depot a day.
It's an average, it's an average.
so the
I
average
only
for,
make two, one in and one out.
The average is 10 a day for a single-family house.
That's like a statistic. that is
Yeah, it's something that,
I wanna work
the
from home.
Federal Department of Transportation came up with.
And mother sits home all day.
And then the 140, this is that came from 14 lots times 10. So, yeah, so it would be 140 total per day.
right, so when
Coming
there's
out of that.
25,
That's why it's.
When there's
Okay.
25, it would be 250, yep.
If they hit 250, then they have a greater impact on the road, and they're gonna have to do some remediation to the road to
so
make
that's
sure-
what I'm gonna have to watch go by my house every day, is what you're saying.
No, it may never get that point. You could have 25 houses and have a grand total of 50 trips a day. Yeah, 2 in and 2 out. Yeah, it all depends on who's living there, whether they have teenage kids, because if they have teenage kids, I don't think 10 a day starts.
Now, bicycles aren't
You already
counted.
know that.
I'd like to mention something too, but I don't, the person that lives there, when you come to the end of Laurel Lane, out on the South Skillings Road,
Yep.
there's a house right there. And I sit in my living room and I see what's going on. The cars now that come out of Laurel Lane, the lights shine right into her house. And she couldn't be here tonight. I had said, you know, there's a meeting tonight, and she said, I can't go. There was an emergency in the family, she's at the hospital. But her concern is the amount of traffic coming, because it's directly into her house.
We can look at setting up.
There's a little green cape at the end of the at the end of Laurel Lane.
You really can't, because her driveway is right on the other side of Laurel Lane, so to put a buffer
You can
there,
attempt.
you can attempt,
Take a look at it anyways.
or have Laurel Lane come out and turn toward your house. You know,
It's something to look at.
I'll sell it to you.
I have one more comment.
Yes.
There's been a lot of environmental concerns raised, and I just want to make one public comment on my property, kind of between the 2 lots, the 2 separate lots,
Yep.
which I guess are now an issue, but we'll pretend that they're moving forward. I've discovered a large patch of eggs on my property and a blue spotted salamander bordering those lots. And we have US Fish and Wildlife coming out to review that site next week, just so you know.
Keep us posted.
Okay.
I think at this point, we need to just wait until we get a little bit more information about what's going on.
Got it all written down?
Those are really my 2 things.
No, there's more.
Space.
I'll send you a note.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To the chair.
Yeah, Mary.
I'd like to thank them for trying to work with the neighbors
Oh,
and everything else.
Yeah.
I think it would have been very difficult with the group of neighbors on South Skillings Road not to have worked with them. You guys are quite involved, and I think it's wonderful. Next on the item.
Where's your easel?
It's all in Oh, it'd be wild.
You're not here?
You wanna see me for 2 hours?
Okay, next item on the agenda, B and B Trucking, a plenary site plan review on It says a proposal to demolish, it's actually a proposal to build a truck repair facility with associated parking and support facilities on a 2.04 acre parcel of land, tax map 4, lot 13, in the Alfred Road Business District. Robert Masco is the owner applicant, and Paul Gadboy is the applicant's agent. And they say it's actually built, because the building is gone.
Yeah, so I think a lot, yeah, when it gets up high.
As you probably can see, we downsized the project primarily to address the board's comments that they had at the last planning board meeting. I think in my cover letter, I kind of summarized what her concerns were, I believe. I know she was concerned about the dug wall that she has currently on the property. So, basically, we are just proposing a new septic system for the building. That's a 65 gallons per day, so it's a very small system, just for, there's no showers, no baths, none of that, so very small. The existing system was looked at and it's functioning properly, that's servicing the house right now. This septic system proposed meets the setback requirements for wells, obviously. I know she was concerned about any impact on her well. I think primarily that impact was the existing driveway that we had coming out on New Road, but I won't speak for that. I think, so we eliminated that driveway for a couple of reasons. Again, it was, they were concerned about it being so close to their house. We had some grading issues where the building was quite high, and for us to actually buffer the parking from our house, it would have been quite tedious to try to do that. So we downsized the project considerably. We moved that entrance. And then she was concerned about flooding. The original plan had 11,394 square feet of new impervious. This plan has basically, we're even, I think I have 538 square feet of new impervious area. So when you add all the new, and of course this was current, that's all coming out, so what we have, existing gravel, existing pavement, will pretty much net the same impervious area for the property. So we really cut back the impervious area from 11,394 square feet new, which was a 41.6% lot coverage, to actually we're adding 538 square feet for 29.7% lot coverage. In this zone, we're allowed 70%. So, we did do the hydrocat calcs, I did some remodeling. What really happens here is all this pavement is now being redirected by curbing, by DOT. That's being redirected by curbing, which comes actually to this location, and from there it's gonna discharge along New Road. So any water that we had naturally flowing through the site to the Worthing property now is basically being rerouted because of DOT's curbing.
Well, the stuff in the center there, outside of that watershed changed, it's gonna be.
Yeah, well, this area now is gone,
That's
because
gone.
that's going around. And then, so, I did model it obviously still for what I'm proposing. We're greatly reducing flow of water towards the William property. We're actually, and I've graded this parking lot's graded so that this water actually comes back around into this direction to an existing ditch and to the pond. So we're really stopping the flow of the existing water going to these abutting properties here. She was concerned about, the trucks and trying to buffer them, so what I did when I graded this out, I actually graded it out flat for another 10 feet. So we could park the vehicles, I continued to grade it flat, so I could put the fence up 10 feet off the existing pavement. So now the fence is gonna be high, which obviously this is still grading down to her property, but instead of trying to have the fence at a total slope, 4, 5, 6 feet below the pavement, she would still see the cars. So I graded this area, continued to grade it flat at the elevation of the pavement, well actually just a slight discharge down, and I'm gonna put the fence along that edge. So now that fence in this case will be 4 feet above the original grade, plus it'll be a 6-foot stockade fence, so they technically won't be able to see the vehicles versus the original plan that we had, right? The building was up in the air, the fence was down on the border, they could just look over the fence and they'd see the vehicles. So we tried to accomplish that in order to make us more sensitive to the abutting property. Setback requirements now, they were concerned, obviously, the building was, in the original design, it was 75 feet from the residence, which has to be a minimum of 75 unless you got a waiver from the planning board, I gotta go down to 40. I don't think the planning board would have given the waiver in this instance, but now, you know, we put the building as far as practical away from that property as we possibly can, meeting the setback requirements from the property line. She was concerned about noise and light pollution. We're putting up these 26-watt lights, they're shielded. We're allowed 0.5-foot candles at the property line for residential, I think we're allowed 1-foot candle for commercial. These lights have 0.1-foot candles 35 feet from the building. So there'll be a 0.1-foot candle somewhere in this area right here. And we're allowed 0.5 at the property line. So I think lighting shouldn't be, they're all shielded. So I don't think lighting's gonna be a concern for the, she was concerned about turning radius and new roads, get these trucks out, even though I designed it to do that, we limited that altogether. We're gonna propose hours of operation 7 to 7. And timeline for construction, she was concerned about that, and we're shooting for June 1st, between June 1st and August 31st to start construction. I guess the other few things that maybe, I talked about lighting, noise. I think you brought up noise, obviously, everything, all works inside the building. This is a permitted use in that zone. Again, there was an existing structure, you know, working on the vehicles, we're doing the same type of work, and all work is done inside the building, so I can't see noise being an issue. That's the only thing I can say about it, all work is inside the building, and I know we're allowed 65 decibels at the residential property line, but I couldn't tell you. But, you know, there's no outside noise for this project, it's all inside.
And I'm not gonna have anything running out there more than 15 minutes.
Well, historically, wasn't Mrs. Not
I don't know, I guess, yeah, exactly, historically, I don't know what the noise level might have been, if
Right.
anybody, so it's the same use,
Same use
Same
as
exact-
historically, right?
correct.
And we
Obviously.
have what, 3 bays?
3 phase.
3 bays versus before you had
The other
6.
way,
Yes.
we were gonna have,
Well, we had drive-through before,
We were
so
gonna
I
have,
counted them as bays because I had garage
brought it down to
doors.
just 3 doors.
Obviously, water, you know, we can use an existing well to supply water, we do have a new septic system proposed for the new building. And I guess at this point, I will take any questions that the board might have.
How's the flow going through that building? Cause I'm looking at it and I can't, it almost looks as if you're gonna be driving in the backside and out on the new road.
Can you ask me
I'm
that
not-
question again, I'm sorry?
Old Alfred.
On Old Alfred Road?
Yeah, you're going out onto Old Alfred Road?
Yes,
Okay. Wasn't the original plan to go out on New Road?
New
we had both, right, we're gonna come in on Old Alfred Road, drive, actually be able to drive through the structure and exit
Right.
onto New Road. So we eliminated that, again, we eliminated a lot of impervious area, we got to save a huge maple tree, which was a beautiful tree, so we can save that. The only other thing is, DOT is constructing the entrance, DOT is constructing this area right here. I'm using those 2 parking spaces for satisfying the residential use. The ordinance says that I'm allowed 2 parking spaces that can back up to the street, but no more than 2. So that's what I'm showing there, and that's what DOT had in their plan to build, and I thought that was gonna be a second entrance, but that doesn't work for any entrances whatsoever. No matter how I look at it, so I think primarily that's being built to satisfy the residential. So we're gonna be using that to build new walks, so they can get to the residential unit, so that'll be separate from the commercial entity. Oh, she had another question, was it, of course, you know, everybody knows now that Bob and Wendy bought that property, and that was one of her questions previously. Budding residential properties, when Bob didn't own that, I was maintaining a 25-foot setback from the edge of pavement to the property line. I've reduced that, I kept it in this area right here, cause now I'm down to about another residential property, I gotta maintain 25 feet. I did reduce that slightly, this was existing gravel right here, which is already in place, but Bob owns the property, it's, I believe that we could do that, we're down 8 feet between, commercial properties. So I'm taking a little bit of, leeway to do that, so that I can actually get enough width here without having to push the, I'm trying to maintain 25 feet here.
So that, but that's a residential piece of property now, isn't it? Are you gonna make it?
It's a commercial zone, and it's a residential piece of property owned by the applicant.
So it's still residential, unless you make it commercial.
Well, I don't think that if he owns it, if he wants to allow someone to build closer to an area that's zoned commercially, this is all R zone, AR zone.
Yeah.
So we're both AR zones, he wants to still use it as commercial as long as, okay, residential, as long as everybody knows, we're gonna fence it off, putting a stockade fence to maintain, the buffer between two properties. So we agreed in the past, we had an existing gravel right here, so we didn't have the 25 feet, and we agreed that we could use the existing gravel that was grandfathered. So I'm pretty much kinda holding that area, and then I made this area a little bit less than 25, because I wanted to have 35 feet here for my trucks to be able to turn around. If you really made me take that out, I suppose I can make that 25 feet like I originally had. I don't know why he owns the project, he can't allow that way to go down.
Because if it's residential and he decides to sell it, it's gonna impact the new owners. Although we would take the position that you should have known about that beforehand.
Well, yeah, I think it would be made well aware that if they sell this as a residential use, these owners realize that.
It's still residential.
Okay.
I can't hear you down here.
You're talking about micromanaging.
How many feet is it?
Well, it's still gonna stay residential.
Definitely,
Is
we
it 2
definitely,
feet?
Well, these are.
I agree with you.
Now, the question also is power.
Right here.
These waivers?
I am
No, 'cause it's
20
gonna be-
feet.
Okay, that's what I thought, I figured I had to ask.
Yeah, that was like last fall.
Yeah, 20 feet gives you enough room for snow.
That's hard.
No, we own the property.
I know, but I'm just saying, we're not gonna put it, step in your pocket, you got enough room to turn around that way, to clean up the lot.
Wasn't there less on the side
Well, I'm-
versus back?
I don't know what you're talking about.
In the rules, wasn't there, you needed less?
No, it says you gotta maintain, I think it's 25 feet around the residential.
the side lot? Right.
Well, the building
Right.
has to be 25 feet in the rear, 15 on the side,
16 on the side,
15.
15, so he's 15 from the side.
Yeah.
I'm not talking
Well, the
about-
building
I'm talking
is
about
no problem.
talking about
Building,
paving.
no problem.
I don't know about the
I
building.
thought 15, you're 20. Oh, gives you 5.
I don't know exactly what that was now.
Well,
What
if
is
you're
that?
shuffling the cars, you turn around, you're coming out with a 5+. See, us mechanics know how to shuffle and figure out real quick. That's when you get the angle by the dangle, the figure who's the spar the furthest.
It says right, where does it say that?
Of
Did I
course,
find that section there?
where's the rest, property line? There's so many edges there, which one's the rear?
This is front.
That's the front, we know that, but I think they're two fronts.
Put a hammerhead on there.
It's side and back. 15 feet, side and back. So guess what, he got 20, so he turned around there.
Yeah.
That's either +5.
All right with me.
Yeah, this,
So,
according to the table of 673,
What page are you on?
7-3.
94.
Where are we? Let me discuss.
I'm just looking at the space and bulk requirements in the AR district.
Yes, I'm trying to figure out where I saw that.
Non-residential use, the side yard setback has to be 15 feet.
That's what I thought. We're not, this is the, space and bulk, is not, this is building, this isn't pavement. I'm talking,
Well,
I'm talking
if you-
pavement, space and bulk is building.
Yeah, you look, you wanna look
If you look at at paving, which I had open a minute ago. Let me just figure out where I put it.
Yeah.
Cause it made a reference to the district itself,
which is the AR.
which I thought,
Which is 6-7.
I don't see anything for paving.
It's on the landscaping, page 90 on my book.
Boy, is that black bush landscaping pavement?
wait, the
Okay.
25 foot wide,
90 is
Black
the
bush.
PI district though.
What's that?
Page
90 's in a
90 is the
different
PI
district.
district.
This is the AR, guys.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Street
Landscape,
lighting,
page
parking.
98.
Yep.
That was the BI district, that's right, thank you.
Yeah, it's AR, you'll find it in 675, patient, well, my fault.
Huh, I guess that's where I took it from. Landscaping in the BI district. Hmm.
I still don't see any numbers on how far back the pavement have to be.
Well, then we go to parking, remember, we start off at 522.
yeah, that's where I was at originally, and I can't find the spot that I was on.
That's interesting. Should be 512. Or 522 might refer to old landscaping.
There's the parking lot page standard. Parking lot landscaping, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I think we're good. I took it from the BI district. The 25 foot.
Give me a 20.
Well, it doesn't matter on 522, because that's doing setbacks for Route 111 and Route 1. So you're gonna go to 512, which is parking lots, right? Parking lot design, let's see, landscaping, performance standards, geometry, 15 feet.
15 feet, yeah.
15 feet along any street, 25 feet along the side and rear lot lines abutting a residential use, and 8 feet wide along the rear or sideline abutting a non-residential use. Planning board may waive the requirement for landscaping area along the side and rear lot abutting a non-residential use where there is a coordinated design of parking and access. That's 15.
So you're in the 5.12.1?
Yeah, I'm in 512.3.
C1.
3C.
Parking lot design, C, landscaping.
Page 52, if you have the right
Yeah,
copy.
I do.
So you're more than 15, aren't you?
Well, it says 25 feet wide along side and rear lines and abutting the lot with residential use, so that's where I saw that, right?
Yeah, that's what it's on.
So, I'm just pointing it out. That's what I decided to do, because Bob owns it, and it is an AR district. And that's my story, I guess. I mean, yeah,
I don't know,
can I take this parking lot and shift it this way, so I can shift that way? I didn't think that really, because I was already grandfathered right here along this line. So this line's grandfathered pretty much.
What's the current, is it currently occupied?
I have, right here, I have one.
Point
Right
one.
here. This is the original gravel right here.
That's not, Bob, that property's not currently occupied, is it?
by the state.
DOT's using it.
Right,
Yeah,
but
no.
there's nobody living there.
No.
Okay.
And its use is most recently residential,
Residential.
but it is commercially utilizable, because it's,
It is,
right?
Yeah.
it's in the right district. It
Good,
could
good.
be commercial.
I can't,
The issue
why we go out of our way to,
well, the struggle I'm having is that it is a residential spot.
Is the
Well, it's
state
not,
using
it's
it
only
at all
done
right now for staging or anything?
Yes.
You call that commercial?
Yeah.
No one's living there, it's being used for,
They're actually in the.
They'll be there for a
They're in
few
the
years.
trail.
they are, in- so the current
Okay,
use
so
is
the
not
current use would be
residential.
commercial,
Yeah,
Yeah,
which means that,
Well, these guys are gonna be.
because I'm looking at it, it says it has to be 8 feet wide along the rear or side or rear lot line abutting a non-residential use, and the planning board may waive the requirement for the landscape area along the side or rear lot line abutting a non-residential use when there's a coordinated design of,
so Tad,
Parking
right
access.
now, it's not used as residential use.
Right.
It's
Commercial
being used by the
DOT's
state for,
That's what I wanna hang your hat on?
yes.
I think,
I just don't like to get hung up with,
Standards? I don't mean that, the problem is when we have a standard. I wish we had a waiver provision. We need waiver provision for something like this, because this is,
it'd be nice
if it's not being used as a residence,
but he's also putting a fence up, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. I'm starting the fence right about here, and then it's coming around the corner to here.
but so what? That doesn't change to residential.
Well, what it does is it also buffers.
You're considering that an admission? Yeah, no, it's not.
I mean, it's like no one's gonna see it, right? It's a fence there.
That's kind of
I
what
can't
I'm
see it.
saying.
Maybe you're
Well,
getting
I'm
at it.
just as bad as you now.
but I would question if, with a fence going up, why would we not consider it residential? That's the purpose of the fence, to block off the commercial from the residential.
Absolutely.
No,
So-
there's, you.
Yeah, because if it's not, if it's non-residential, that fence is not required.
Well, then, but it's not prohibited either.
That's correct.
I mean,
That's right.
people across the street with the gas station, they have a fence all the way around.
Does make a difference.
Well, you know, it's not only that, it's the house that's here too.
Well, so should we just take
Leave
the
the
fence
house
down?
here, I
and
don't
not
want
have
them
the
to-
fence up?
Flip over the, no, that's primarily what it is. It's not, I didn't put the fence up with these guys, I put the fence up with this guy's house here, you can look back.
I mean, if you put a fence along that line and move it to 25 foot, what's the 25 foot gonna do?
Right.
What's the fence gonna do?
Fence gonna do?
Besides be a pain to snowplow, but besides that.
it's gonna
This
stop the
fence,
wind
this
from
fence
blowing.
won't be a pain, 'cause it's right along the property.
That's all
line.
we think.
Right.
I think since no one's living there, it's not, it's being used for non-residential use right now.
I agree.
It's owned by someone that's not a resident, it's I don't know if to call it a company, it's a state, so.
It's an it's not
Well,
even
the
an
state can do
NGO.
anything
They're
they
using it
want.
as a staging area, it's not a permanent
Is
position.
this structure that's there now, is it easily recoverable to be a residence?
Yes. As far as the property that they're using,
What's the ultimate sensible use of that property?
What are you
Commercial
gonna do with
or
it?
residential?
What are you gonna do with that?
I bought it so I'd have more room.
What's more, what's the highest, best use of it? I would expect it would
I
probably be
think
commercial.
right now,
wouldn't it?
Bob's gonna rent it
Sooner or
out.
later it'll be
For income until he decides to do something else.
For residential right now.
for right now.
He's gonna rent it out.
And that's the
Take some
problem.
But for the next 6 months, it's commercial.
Yes,
It's
commercial.
renting to the state.
It's nice to have the option though, to use it for commercial.
It's zoned for
And so, you know, you gotta kind of look at this thing too, the state took his building, all right? I have no place else that I can get it to fit, to meet that setback.
Moved it as far as
From
we could.
septic systems, I have to meet these minimum setback. I'm stuck with it being right here. I have no place else for it to go. So, you know, I think the applicant
What
should have,
size, curiosity,
a little bit of,
wait a minute.
Huh?
Curiosity, what size is the residential lot that we're speaking of?
I don't know off the top of my head, but
roughly, how many acres is that, or
Probably
what?
an
It's gonna be
Yes.
close to an acre.
Yeah, about an acre, I guess, I didn't calculate.
The only thing, what's the minimum size in that?
1 acre.
1 acre.
Well, I mean, the only thing is, depending on that lot size, okay? If it was more than an acre, then he could, since he's the owner, he could move pins and turn around and,
Yeah.
If it's more than an acre, yeah, I'm not sure.
but I'm just saying, I mean, is if you wanna
Pretty
turn
small, I
on,
could kind of calculate that, maybe, I don't know if it is more than an acre.
Move the property line.
It's not more than
It's
that.
not, right?
no, Bob, I'm just
Yeah,
just- throwing the cards out. I mean, you know,
But the rest of it is more than 2 acres, so added to that, it might make 3 acres. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
if it was added to it.
What, you mean your existing, you mean?
Right.
Your existing is, whatever, area, 88,000 square feet is existing. so
44, 88.
86 is 2
yeah.
acres, right?
Yeah.
Roughly. So that's about over 2 acres. Well, that's a good idea, Mike, but I don't know how I can.
I
can't take land away, I could take land away here, then I'd have to figure out how to give it back here, and, you know.
Then the parking lot was
If
affected.
this was like a 1.2 acres, say, good idea, I'll cut it down to an acre and.
I mean, just,
Yeah, that was a good thought though. I don't quite think that quite works.
you know, 13 millimeter and the 14 millimeter half and 9/16.
So,
Yep.
and then, I just
We're
wanna point out
comfortable.
that it took his property, it's the only place I can put that building, and I wanna make the turning radiuses work for the large trucks that he's trying to accommodate.
What's your turning radius?
I don't know off the top of my head, I put a
Come on,
template-
hey,
I
Paul,
put a template
Paul,
on
no,
there.
wait, we played this game when we put my building up. If you remember, we had to move it 15 feet one way or the other to get the turning radius.
Yeah, I just have a template that I just.
No, I
put in
mean-
there, So I don't know exactly what it is.
That's a
So-
big turning radius, you're right.
Huh?
That's a big turning
We went through this before.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably some room here to make it a
Yeah,
little
you
bit
got more than
different,
26
but,
feet? Yes.
You know,
So I think we turned and played the game.
there's probably a little room there. You know, if it's gonna make you guys,
No, I'm just,
I mean,
I'm, hey,
can we have a shoulder there that's not paved? If we're worried about pavement?
yeah.
The intent is to provide a buffer for the general property owner.
right,
And I think if you put a fence up, you achieve that. Just,
Just
So
run the fence
if they-
over it, it's in your way. Bob, run the fence over it, it's in your way.
So there's a fence proposed?
yep,
Right.
starts right here, cause I wanna kind of block off people coming down the road to see. This is all kind of field, and it comes all the way down to this point right here. So
Seems
this
like
neigh-
we've-
So this neighbor that lives here, he isn't gonna be able to.
You're all set.
Right. It seems like at least the vocal leanings of the board are not to insist on the 25 if there's a fence there, and the current use is not residential.
Yeah, the applicant owns it, but I guess in my mind, I think it would matter.
That's the use is still residential. If the applicant were either minor or say I'm gonna make it commercial, then it's not residential, but.
Who's playing with the crystal ball?
I'm just saying that's what it is, it's residential. But the fence is,
Tomorrow, turn around, somebody could come in and commercial use and wanna put something in there.
and then he has to be 8 feet away, he's there.
That's why I'm saying, playing with the crystal ball.
No, it's not a crystal ball, it's residential, that's not a crystal ball, that's what's in use for, it's residential.
And you were saying if we put up a fence, it would be fine?
Yeah.
That works for me.
Yep, works for
me
too.
I just wanted to point that out, because I knew that I was
Oh.
doing something that was probably not quite right, and I wasn't sure, but I'm on the plan to know that.
We can't imagine you doing that, Paul.
Well, I mean, I
As built?
didn't wanna forget, try
Hey,
to say.
hey, we're doing it as built or is it,
So, I guess, I don't know if there's any other questions, I'm hoping that. we
Well, my,
can
one question I asked
have
you,
a
what
public
about,
hearing on May 9th.
where's your
May
power
9th.
coming in from?
I'm going overhead from this existing pole. Right
Okay.
now, overhead goes to a pole that's right here or something.
Is it now, since they've come down, is it three-phase?
It is three-phase.
So are you coming down underground, or are you going directly to the building? To the pole down, so you don't have any,
I'm not sure.
well, only reason I'm saying that, Bob, is because like what I did is, when I came in with my power, right? I turned on, put all my tubes in and everything else, so that I had it to the pole and came down, so you didn't have anything hanging or dragging or anything else along the way.
For the trucks.
For any trucks or anything that's tall, even motorhomes or whatever else, so you don't have the sag and drag, so you're clear span. That's the only reason I'm throwing that at you.
I mean, it wouldn't be a huge deal of power poles on this side of the road.
No, you haven't, but turn on, if you do it that way, you're completely clear. And then you aren't turning on it and, you aren't buying another pole or anything else along the way.
And the pole is right on the corner between the two properties right there.
Yeah,
Right,
so if it was
so-
across the street, it'd be a little bit more
Cause
complicated.
I thought, I remember where the pole was, it was right at your property line.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm okay with that, I don't think it's a huge cost either way.
Yeah,
I
I'd
mean,
rather have it down,
So, it'll be underground.
I mean, it's just,
great idea.
Anytime they hit another ground, it's a good idea.
I agree.
So is the road gonna, follow the curb? Was that curve?
The DOT plan is to, they actually have a double curb system here, and I kind of,
Almost like a sidewalk.
yeah, like it's a raised sidewalk is what it is. So they got a curb to channel the water around
yeah, but
to here,
The new paved,
and
But
then the other
it's-
curb on the other side just to kind of match, or they don't have to, they didn't wanna fill in, I guess, they put a curb. So it's a double curb, it's a raised sidewalk.
yeah, so it
I kinda
doesn't,
thought it was kinda odd,
so it doesn't wash back on him.
So this is like the bridge that goes nowhere in Alaska, we have a sidewalk that goes nowhere?
Well, no,
About
it's,
the
you go
only
on the curb,
sidewalk
I
in
guess, right, I don't, yeah.
But asking this the old Alfred Road, is it not connecting into the new road, so there's only one entrance?
Oh, you know, they probably
not
did
yet.
that to stop him from being able to access his property from that area, it's probably more, cause you know how cars sometimes they want.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They probably put that raised island, so that no one's gonna even, I'm gonna say Bob, well, oh, I think I'll just park here.
No,
I don't know if they were thinking that, but that's probably what it is stop,
Well, it only took him 30 years to do it.
so I'm not sure, but it's kind of a raised sidewalk or,
Well, my question is, old Alfred Road and new road, are they not joining it together so you only have one entrance?
yeah, it's gonna come right here.
Yeah, but the way you have the old Alfred Road
Yeah, I
right
still
now.
show the Alfred Road.
Yeah, but I mean,
existing,
Yes. I didn't show the new,
that's where I was going at, so that,
no, I didn't show the new location. Kinda did this for calculating the impervious areas.
Yeah. but like I said, if you do it that way,
Fun in the morning, when people are trying to get out onto Alfred Road, and people coming home are trying to get onto Old Alfred Road. And New Road is gonna be a traffic nightmare.
It's running very nicely right now, as long as you keep that guy
As long
with
as
the
that guy
sign.
is out there with his
With the
sign
sign.
stopping the traffic.
I'm surprised they didn't put a
So-
light there.
We,
don't give them any other ideas.
They didn't ask for,
I think a
It
light
took
would
30
be-
years for this.
Would have made more sense.
you know?
so
I think we need to do a sidewalk on this actually, because everything has changed since we did the sidewalk and saw the original set of plans. Everything on this has changed, I think we need to go out and do a sidewalk.
I'd like that.
and we wanna schedule this then.
For the next meeting?
That's the meeting of the ninth.
Yeah.
at 6 o'clock,
That's,
I'm out of town that day.
Yeah, but we got daylight now.
6 o'clock,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm game for that one.
right,
Yeah,
6 o'clock.
to May 9th. Okay, make a motion, we, schedule a site walk at 6 o'clock on May
Night.
9th.
And then there won't be any follow-up that night, the planning board, just sidewalk, just so I figure out what's going on.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded for a site walk on May 9th. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Through the chair, do
That
you
is,
want it?
that is four in favor, one abstention. I'm not gonna be in town.
Oh, you're abstaining?
Yeah, I'm not gonna be in
Well,
town.
you could vote on it,
I
doesn't
could.
mean you have to be here.
I could, but we could,
No.
we just let the 40 vote.
Do you want them on the agenda on the ninth? If we have anything to discuss at that time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We only, and public
Yeah.
hearings aren't gonna take that long.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
We have,
for
we have
us,
a
right
very,
there.
yeah, but we have a very full agenda. The quicker we
Yeah,
move
it was,
forward.
It was full before we added a couple other things tonight.
That's true.
We just added a couple more things to this.
Okay,
All right.
So are we on for the night?
you're on for the
We're not
9th.
gonna be on for the ninth, just to probably pretty much discuss
Go to sidewalk.
what was found at the sidewalk. If there's anything that needs to be changed, you'll have the heads up to say waiting 2 weeks.
Well, you will like that idea of underground.
Yeah, I think so.
But the other thing is, when you do your underground, you can also do your cables or turn on, anything else. What I always did is,
Hey, Paul?
even though I'm not using
Give,
three-phase, I ran an
photometric
extra
of the
two.
lighting plan?
I submitted the package.
It's
Is it?
cheap.
Okay.
Yeah.
PVC pipe underground is a hell lot easier to pull lines through or anything else than digging in. Just thought.
I did drive by today and see what the trucks were running. Thank you.
I had it done in 2 hours the next morning.
There's some
good guys over there.
Yeah.
What happened to them?
I brought them over to, my new shop over, not my new
Where we're
shop,
renting.
where we're renting,
Oh,
on 66 Andrews. I could never get them all quick enough to budget, so, but, I did let them know, that there'll be a fee if anything's left from now on, so that was stopped real quick.
All right. See you tonight.
What's that?
We're all set.
Thank you.
Conversation with Paul.
Okay. Yeah, no, I haven't, I must have guessed it was just go like this. Okay,
I think what I did for you guys is I had for you both, but I did them both April 20,
Yeah.
instead of dating them.
Oh, good.
That's what happened.
that could be. Okay,
You got a card?
oh, planners report.
Just confirmed with the newspaper, the advertisement will be published tomorrow. All the stuff has been set, so we will, have our public hearings, have been advertised properly, and, we're good to go. I'll have all the materials ready for tomorrow, as I have that available for the public tomorrow.
Okay, good.
Okay. And in terms of other things, I have, progress report on Raptor Falls. Raptor Falls is, as you can see, the buildings are down, and starting to work, we've run into some ledge issues. Big surprise.
No,
Shocked, I tell
In
you.
what sense would they be issues?
They're Biddeford Pluton granite, that's the issue. They require blasting. There's no way. So they may want to do some design modifications. They may want
Okay.
to lose some parking. And the question is, how much parking and what will they lose? And they may have to do some realignments of a number of different things. They went through this with them today and said, well, if you get to be too much, you're gonna have to go see the planning board again, and that will slow down your project.
Did they not know what they had for soils there?
yeah, guess what, the
Yeah,
granite was already there.
Very stony, shallow bedrock, that's the soil. And what, I asked them, did you do borings? And throughout the whole parking lot, no, they didn't do borings throughout the whole parking lot.
Yes, but,
And you know, sometimes you just don't know, you can always
Right.
get a ridge of ledge that just comes up, but this was a big piece.
let's put it this way, that was there before.
Yeah, well.
I mean, it just didn't grow overnight.
So that problem is in the parking area? Not in the,
The
golf
big
area.
ones, you gotta find it in the other place, but the others are much easier to move around
To work
than
in.
Yeah.
the parking. The parking's gotta be
level.
Very
Yeah.
fairly level. Luckily, there wasn't any of the detention basin ones, otherwise
Oh,
it would
yeah.
have been a real nightmare. But, so I will, I guess, I will ask you, how much you want me to do a de minimis change that I can approve, and how much you guys want to see the plan.
Well,
Are they required to have a certain amount of parking?
Well, if it was a real golf course, yes, but they're a miniature golf course. They put in as much as they could because they wanted to.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
54, they had 54 spaces.
So they have some discretion to roll it back a little bit,
If I
right?
consider it to be a golf course, no, they don't. They have 4, but it's not a golf course.
But this is, what was that
It
term
assumes
we
4
had
for a hole.
Right.
Really?
Everybody would be the American way, everybody drives there. to
Yeah,
get
even
well.
the kids won't be driving, so.
What was that term we had for outdoor entertainment centers? We had discussed way back when we were looking at the DB1 area.
Amusement parks?
There was a different term that we had. used.
Commercial recreational facility.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's
Did
what
we,
it is.
did we ever define parking spaces for those?
No.
Okay, solves that problem.
Yes, it does.
now, the
Actually,
other question
discretionary
is,
on the board, it's really a discretionary thing is what is reasonable? What is a reasonable amount of parking for a situation like
okay,
that? So,
the other thing is, they don't, if they do go blasting, they have to come back with a blast code and everything else, and then all the abutters and everything else
yeah, well, I
along
don't
with.
do that, that's the blaster does that. I don't-
I'm just saying,
Well, he's already out there, he's already blasted. He's already blasted some stuff, this is additional stuff that they may have to blast. It looks
So-
like they have to blast.
wait a minute, we never approved of anything for blasting.
Sure you did.
No,
You
we
approved
did
the
not.
grading plan. When you approved, Marty, we've never done any blasting plans.
Yes, we have.
Well, we,
Yes, we have, for an example, if they were going to do blasting over at Seasonal Cottage and everything else, the fact is, they had to turn around and, notify all the butters 500 feet above,
but the blaster does that, by law.
again, but we had it logged in, saying that it was going to be done.
Okay, but I don't have any regulation that requires me to require them to do that. There's no regulation that does that. I don't have anything to work with to do that.
Alright, then they
So
don't have
this-
to necessarily blast because they can, air jacket.
The
Well,
point is
however-
that we
however
wanna
they
do
wanna do it.
modifications to the plan, that's the point.
My,
I want-
my
I wanna-
question is, if it comes before us, good luck opening this summer. You know, it could be, just to get them on the agenda would be a month.
Well,
Well,
slow
let's-
them up.
Yeah.
Let's look
So-
at the concept of, let's assume that they wanna lose some parking spaces. How many spaces do you guys feel comfortable allowing Tad to say, yes, that's any more than this, and they have to come back close?
Well, I think the answer to the question should be, how much do they have the discretion to strike off their own plan?
How many do they have right now?
54, that's a lot.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
would
huge
say-
number. I was thinking 27 myself.
And that's assuming you have everybody on the course, you have 4 people on it, it assumes that you have 4 people on the course at all times, which also means
But
that
there's
you
also,
probably have 2 cars.
there's
in the
also a
course.
waiting
Three
lot.
times 18,
Right.
go 3
But-
times
But it's more,
18.
it's more than that, it'll be people showing up and waiting, whenever I go miniature
Yeah.
golf, North Conway or down the Cape,
Yeah.
you wait.
You wait.
But then when you're done, you get ice cream or something, so there's a good
There's a-
overlap, but not, they're like still double what they, even including an overlap. I think if they had,
If you had 2 cars per hole, I think you'd.
That's
be
36.
yeah,
More than okay.
yeah, and you probably would never have 2 cars per hole. You
Well-
show up one car, you,
Well, I was
Tom.
thinking maybe 40 spaces, and if they had to go below 40, that they should probably come back and see us and let us know about it. And
Well,
it could just be.
Rich,
I was thinking
if
45.
Tom, Rich, fact is, they have 54, 3 times 18 is 54.
Yep.
Okay, so I mean, if you go 2 times 18 is 36. I mean, that
Can you
means,
run through that again, or we'll get my calculator out?
write it down, you're the computer man.
Okay.
I was just thinking about 40, which would mean that you'd have two cars per hole, and you'd have four cars waiting to go play, and waiting for somebody, grab some ice cream or whatever.
Anything over 40, you have to come back to us.
Well, anything over 14, because they're at 54 now, if they go below 40, I think they should come back and see us. And that,
Yeah.
honestly, we could
We never,
go down to 27. and I
we
don't
never
think
had a
it'd be
chance to
problem.
even discuss it, because they offered that many and.
That's right.
Okay.
It was overkill, I think.
Yeah,
But I was okay with it.
More is merrier.
Well, what, so back to my question then. What discretion do they have? I mean, what would we have required? Because beyond that, that's their discretion.
yeah.
What would we have?
We would've-
We would have,
We did not
No
have
guidelines.
standards for it, we would have been something we negotiated based on what their generation.
what are they gonna do with the legs
of
Here's
their
the
glasses?
thing,
Is it
that-
considered quarry?
probably,
They have enough room to bury it,
they're,
or move it.
if they have to create more parking spaces someday when they've had some momentum, they've established this business and they wanna expand, and maybe that's when they have to grapple this blasting to recapture those spaces. So I don't think we should keep the number too high at this point. We wanna assist in getting this
Yep.
business established, get its feet under it, and then if they fill those spaces and they need to expand, well, then they have to grapple with the additional capital expenditure at that time.
The only problem with that is they could be a hit right off the bat. And I think they will do very well right away.
And if they are, that generates that momentum.
But then there's backing up on Route 1, people waiting, and so then it becomes maybe a safety issue. It'd be nice if there was extra spots people could pull into without tallying up on Route 1, trying to wait for a spot.
Great, and what we're doing is we've already started playing with shifting the parking lot forward. I said you can't go very far forward because we have landscaping that you have to put in.
Yeah.
And also you have a ditch there that you have to deal with, and the detention basin. They don't wanna lose any parking spaces, but they're looking at, they're gonna have to lose some, because there's no more money for blasting.
how many is
That's what it boils
some?
down to that.
How many
Yeah,
some?
any idea, ballpark idea? No idea.
It could be, he wasn't really sure the extent of the ledge. It looked to me 4, maybe anywhere between 8 and 10 spaces they lose. So we're looking at 44.
That would do it for me. That's a number that still seems high enough.
Yeah, I think so.
And the intent is, let's remember, there's still a lot of land left there. Their intent is to go and do another one in the future. So they're very cognizant of the fact they wanna continue that parking lot going up and around. Because they wanna do another, we had talked about the business plan. I talked to them about what's the future, it's assuming success here. Zip lines, we wanna just expand because the actual capital outlay, the return on a golf course, a miniature golf course is much greater than it is on most other amusements. Except for something like sliding hill, that's what they're, so then we go with think over another 18, in the 36-hole complex, and they have comparable parking. So their intent is not to just slough it off, their intent is to expand once they get the cash flow.
So if we were to look at it and
Do you
say,
think 44 is
give them
reasonable?
10 spaces and any more than that, they
40.
need to come back to us, or?
We'll
I
keep
think we should
40.
do 14.
Is it, I mean, if we go down to 40,
Yeah, so we can go down
I mean,
to, they can go down to 40, and then you.
They don't wanna lose any, understand that, gentlemen, they do not.
they don't wanna lose it, but
That's,
if
okay,
they
so
have
they're
to.
gonna have the incentive to keep the number as high as possible.
Yeah,
So
I'll let them shift a little bit on the parking lot, but I can't let them shift too far forward, because they don't have much room to go forward.
And I'd like to have some type of minimum, because what if they go down to 30, is that
Well,
good
then,
enough?
I think they'll be upset about that, they'll be concerned about that.
Yeah, but if they have to,
Well, yeah, to make deadlines and so forth, yeah.
What's our lowest number?
40.
Okay.
40,
Yeah.
then they have to come back to us.
Okay,
So that's
good.
14,
Good with that,
plus
Marty?
14.
Yeah, I mean,
That's almost 30% of what they have.
We probably
That's-
need a motion on that, because it is
I would like a
changing.
motion on that if I could get that.
Okay, I'll make a motion that,
Is that an agenda item tonight,
well,
right now? Or do we just
That's a good
chat
point.
about other business? I think we,
It's just other business, so we should, that should go on the agenda for next.
Yeah, but all we're doing is
We're gonna
directing
need to
staff.
make a decision this week, next week.
Yeah,
So
but-
you're giving me the instructions.
That's all we're
Yeah,
doing is
it's direct
directing
Instructions
staff to do
make the
something.
minimus change,
yes,
okay,
The minimus
So-
change will be 14,
and anything over that's coming back to
coming
you
back,
guys.
yeah,
yeah.
and I think that's fine, and just tell them,
So we
That's the
don't-
consensus of the board.
consensus.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
You
And
wanna
I-
take a
I should
poll?
Look at that as,
You don't
think
even
we
need
all
to do
could-
that.
I'm just saying, if you wanted to, for,
But, you know, Jens is right, if we take a motion, then it should have been something that was on the agenda to make a motion about, so. I just.
but it was under planner's business, so I mean, it is still,
All you're doing is directing
But you
staff to make
indicated
the
that's an
decision.
interesting point
Yeah.
he's making.
that's what it comes down to.
yeah, but there's,
Okay, all right,
Good.
yeah, all right, yeah,
I'd rather do it this way,
okay,
it's cleaner.
it's much cleaner. All right, so that's, there's something else.
that's one.
Were you gonna talk to us about Monday night,
Monday night.
Raymond Acres?
Nothing happened.
Oh, okay.
What's this?
They
Cool.
didn't show.
You're keeping the conversation down at that table, we can't hear
No,
you.
sorry, Marty. There-
Raymond Acres, Dwight had requested, to meet with the selectmen and talk about difficulties, in proceeding with his waiver
Yes,
request. I had, the town attorney had not been available since the last meeting. I had requested the day after our last, our meeting to, that was April 12th. And asked her to meet with me on it, cause I just wanted to have a meeting between her and me on this, and she was unavailable because of all the briefs she's doing. She also has to be the, she's, apologize, guys, sorry.
it's probably her.
No, it is not. Because of, a number of things, but, I forget, where was I?
Selectmen,
reiteration schedule.
Yeah, basically, so I talked to Leah before that, last week, and said, we gotta do something here, you know, we gotta meet. And she'd been in touch with his attorney, and the reason why we hadn't met is because she wants to talk to his attorney, wants all of us to talk to, get all the attorneys together. And he wasn't available, and my attitude is, I don't care about the other attorney, I care about my attorney talking to me, so I can be.
It's a planning board
Right,
decision.
we asked her to answer a specific
Right.
set of questions.
And I think I'm going to give her a call and say that that's what we want, is an answer to that question. And then we will talk to the attorney about what the planning board, because it's a planning board decision, is what it boils down to.
In a way, I think the planning board just kicked the can on that, though, I think we
did.
was pretty clear after thinking about it, we should have just made a decision, but I think we
You
just
know
buying
what,
time.
if we had,
Yeah,
it likely would have been adverse to him.
Definitely would
Right,
have been that.
that's-
So,
That's right.
but I
we're
think,
cutting him some slack here.
but even, I don't know what could change, that still.
And that's what we wanted to find out, because
Yeah.
his attorney seemed to think that there was wiggle room in what was going on.
Well,
I wanna hear from Leah, what, you know, is there wiggle room, is there anything? And
Wetlands, you can't go to wetlands.
Yeah.
Unless you buy some more acreage, unfortunately.
And that,
Well,
unfortunately,
that's
that's
a
the issue.
business decision, the applicant did not want to.
Okay,
Yeah.
Exercise, but we shouldn't talk too much.
what
about it.
what happened on Monday night?
Basically, they said we were moving forward, we do not need to talk to the selectmen,
Okay,
so that's how that ended, okay?
that works. Now, we have.
now,
is
when
there
are
any
we
other
gonna
business
get an
staff?
answer from
No
Leah?
business.
The only other thing that's on the agenda is the public hearings next, in 2 weeks. And we've got 6 of them, 7 of them, maybe more. There will be no time to make any changes, so my recommendation, I'm not gonna be there, guys. My recommendation is that you take all of them, send them to the selectmen to get them put on the warrant for the town meeting. Because we can't, we're not,
We don't have time to change.
we have not got time to change, we have to have it, done by May 12th.
Okay, next question, has anything been sent up to the
To the
Ag company.
Commissioner of Agriculture, I have sent off a copy of the commercial farm thing. We will get it back, we will get a reading from him prior to town meeting.
So it's
And
been
if he
sent.
doesn't, then that's tough, because he's got 30 days.
Okay,
That's sent, okay? So. Got it covered.
what's the status on Mountain Road?
No status that I know of.
And Hidden Meadows and coming through
No
there?
movement that I know
Uh,
of. So,
Vanderloop is
going, proceeding.
proceeding along the way.
Yeah, they got a great sign, says they're gonna be open.
They had some
Nice that they-
surprises though with the structure and.
They've had a lot of problems.
But we sit back, I think it'd be September.
Oh, oh boy, really?
Yeah, they're missing the summer season.
Yeah, so I guess will still be back in their original place.
No, I heard they didn't
Yeah.
renew their contract.
Wow, they're
No, I
lucky,
heard
they're lucky they
that,
had the ability to do that.
Yeah, it's lucked out.
They did luck out. The only other thing I have to report is that I did, in fact, today's staff review committee had our first private way, application for, extension of Bergeron Drive to the Holbrook property. And that went through rather quickly today, so, and there was no engineering on it, so,
Good.
we'll see how it proceeds. I will have, this will be my life for a while, and we're gonna have a lot of these things coming up. And I have been appointed by the selectmen to be the administrator of this program.
That sucks.
Why?
It's a lot of
As I guess they have confidence in me.
Come on, Phil, smile at that.
That's it, I'm bored,
Oh,
I
boy.
am bored.
How to make friends.
He's bored.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, but that's only because the roads and the comp plan committee, meetings have come to a halt.
Well, we've accomplished what we wanted to accomplish, we still have
Pretty
to
much.
accomplish the second part of it.
Yeah, and it's never perfect.
No,
No?
No.
That isn't. That
no,
was a
but we
long
made,
haul.
we made some good strides forward on it.
So did I hear you say we're not meeting with comp plan?
We're done,
Good.
Yeah, that's what we voted on.
we're done.
Good.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Well, we'll meet with them at some point in the fall, but we're done for now.
Okay. So let's shut the door, because we still have a
Yeah.
lot to do, we still have the rest of residential districts to do, and we have the formidable RC district, rural conservation district, which is gonna be a bloodbath.
I could make the argument that that is something that we could do as a planning board to discuss, because the original purpose of that meeting was to go over, the inherent conflict between having a densely urban area and a rural character, which was the original reading we had.
Which still exists.
Yeah, it didn't go, it didn't get
Conflict
resolved.
is a paradox.
Make a motion, we
Wait, I have a question, Roger, please. Yeah, sorry. Turn around. The fact is, where we have the Eastern Trail along the way,
Yes, we do.
no, the fact is, on the other side of the Eastern Trail, does Panett own property
Yes,
on the other side of the Eastern Trail?
yes.
33 acres that
Yes.
he can't turn on use for cattle? Or is that able to turn on to be used, Eastern Trail can cross over for usage?
We're on the Eastern Trail.
Where Halsey's yeah, you can, I don't know, he's gotta come to us, we had an agreement on how they cross that trail, so they don't cause damage.
Yeah, I'm
Ways
just
to
thinking,
cross, but there is a way to do it, and we had an agreement on that.
I was just asking because that was the original, when Dewston had it, it was set up between the pipeline and the company and everything else as access, or the access coming through,
Yeah.
Seasonal cottages. And it's an emergency entrance.
Yeah. Well, this is different, that's moving cattle across the Eastern Trail, and we had, when Bill Halsey was doing stuff across that, we had dangerous for him not to destroy the trail. You have an access, you have a right to go over, but you don't have a right to damage the property. So you have to go over in a way that doesn't damage the property, both whether it be Unitel's property or the Eastern Trail's easement on that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying originally is
Imagine
Unitel,
that.
that's why I was asking.
Yeah, well, Unitel,
Unitel wouldn't allow anybody to do anything.
that's right, well, Unitel granted, albeit disgruntledly, they had to honor Columbia's easement agreement and colo agreement with the Eastern Trail Management District. And they actually were now partners. We've come to the point where Unitel and Eastern Trail Management District are partners. We get along very, very well. We have a good relationship. And that's why we've been able to negotiate a colo agreement that goes all the way to the border. Whereas before we were required to negotiate only pieces of it, and now they're on board. They understand that the Eastern Trail is actually a benefit to their operation of their gas line, because it provides adequate access in places where it was darn near inaccessible. It also provides security, because there's always eyes on the trail now, whereas before there weren't. Easy access, maintenance of facilities, eyes on the trail,
Homeland Security.
well, yeah, and the eyes on the trail is part of the Homeland Security. They actually put that in their documents, that there's enough there's public inspection, but there's a public owned trail. So that's a deterrent. It's considered to be a deterrent.
Okay, I'm sorry, Roger.
Need a motion?
Second?
We're adjourned. Gentlemen? Madam? Thank you, Phil.
folks.
Phil, you
I.
gotta get television or
That's all right,
something.
no? I'm sorry.
You have to get television or something. You know, to hear for entertainment.